Hey guys, just like to share a little bit of a video with you about how I modified my DJI goggles to become what were the most uncomfortablest goggles I'd ever owned into the most comfortable goggles I now own. It's a simple mod this, really anyone should try it if you own DJI goggles and you find that they're just not really cutting it for you as when it comes to the comfort and feel on your face, because this is definitely worth a go. Now it's a simple mod like I say, and we'll just talk a little bit about DJI and how I came about to do this mod, and why these things don't fit very well on your face, what I believe is anyway. And that is, the thing with DJI goggles is the fact that they come with this huge sponge. This is more like come off a diver's mask than an FPV goggle. It's not very comfortable this, it's quite tough, it's very wide. I mean, I've got quite a large head, but it doesn't really hug my face. I get light leakage here, light leakage around the nose. I'm really uncomfortable, and most people who get these DJI goggles, this is the first thing that they chuck out. There's a few out there I think that get away with it, it fits the face, but very few. If you was Crichton out of Red Dwarf, probably be a perfect fit, but for most of us, no, it's not. So the things on the market at the minute are these sort of things. Your third party foams, which I've used part of one in my mod. The most common one seems to be the DJI fat sort of foam that comes. I think it's a bit more of a memory foam people talk about, sort of feel to it. But really it's just a chunky sort of foam to go around this big hole, to make this hole smaller basically. So not really a very good solution. You pay over the top I think for these things as well. I mean, they're just bits of sponges, you know, there's nothing that great about them. Once you put these sort of things on your goggle, there's nothing really you can do to make it more comfortable. It either works for you or it doesn't. I find that this, on these foam, that this is too thick here, because if we look at a conventional sort of foam, these are Omaway foam. If we look at this and we can see in scale, you know, just the size here of what we're dealing with when it comes to a hole, you know, to fit on your face. You know, these sort of typical FPV goggles that we're all sort of being used to over the last few years, this sort of sits on your brow, you know, across your eyelashes. This sort of sits on top of your cheeks, and you know, this bit here is just comfort to come around your face. And normal FPV goggles are something like that sort of arc, you know, this sort of curvature. Whereas if we look at the DJI goggles, you know, they've come up with this, like I say, Crichton type shape head plate. Like I say, it's totally wrong for most of us. So when we look at that and we think of, like, you know, this massive look like diver's mask type flange to the normal FPV goggle, there's no wonder it doesn't work for a lot of us. So just getting off that now onto how we'd actually do the mod. It's quite a simple thing, it's ever so easy to do. These are Omaway foam. There's obviously others on the market. You've got your Fat Sharks, you know, Sky Zones, you know, Eachine, the list goes on. They all come with this sort of sticky back Velcro plate. The good thing with Omaway, if you can get hold of the sponges or the foams, whatever you'd like to call them, they come in various thicknesses. Like that's a 15, that's a 13, and I believe they do a 10mm if you can still get hold of it. And part of my mod I used a 10mm just down here off an old one I'd pulled off, but I haven't been able to get hold of a new 10mm. I'm still looking, but so still, you know, there's various things out there on the market for you to try. So it's easy enough done anyway. You've got your Velcro sticky thing, if you like to call it that, and you're basically going to fit that in there like that. Now when you come to do this mod, take off your thing, you know, so you just bare bones, and then go to fit this in. I had to cut it here and here because if you look on the DJI goggles, in here, look, you've got your vents for your fans, for your air to blow through over your eyes, to stop it from steaming up. So of course you don't want to cover those up. So it would have just came, if I'd have just fitted it in as it went, it would have covered that. So obviously I needed to cut it here and here, and then just move that up slightly, that part. And then once you've done that, push it all down, and then get your foam in there. I went with a 15mm for this. You might go with something thinner. Like I say, there's various things out there for you to try. So then once I got that in place, I then put it up to my face without any of this, all these extra bits here, and all the light leakage had gone. It felt comfortable, and instantly I knew that, yeah, this is the way forward. Now of course, with DJI goggles being a little bit more chunky than your average FPV goggle, and a bit more like a box goggle, I guess. And one of the feelings that you tend to get with these default sponges is a box goggle feel, even though it's not a box goggle because it's got two screens, but it's that sort of feel. And with the chunkier stuff, it's just pushing it further away from your eyes, further away from the lens. You know, again, giving it some sort of like FPV box goggle sort of feel to it. Where this mod will make it feel more like your conventional FPV goggles. Now what I went with for added comfort, you know, because like I say, they are bigger, a bit more weight. So now we can utilise this outside area to add a little bit more comfort. And I went with this upside down. I mean, normally these go this sort of way, and there's far too much material here for my nose and things. It just was uncomfortable. And like I say, this came too far down the cheeks. It was too fat, you know, it just pushed on your face. So I ended up turning this upside down. I folded this up to make it pop out a little bit more underneath there, and then as it came down, pull it up to my face, and I could feel this across my cheeks. It just didn't feel right, pushed me back out. So I ended up cutting it and then stitching it up the other side just to make it look a bit tidier. So my face now just sits in there, and where my cheek just starts to curve in, halfway down my cheek, you know, I've put this added other padding in there. So now this just sits on top of my cheeks lovely, as a normal FPV goggle would. You can actually see that this is starting to shape to my face, you know, as it's curling out a little bit, and to my brow. You know, it's starting to become more organic to my face, really, to fit me like a glove. Which hopefully those that try this mod will find out the same, you know, and that's the beauty of this mod, is that you can play with stuff, you can, you know, pack it more there, push it down more, use thinner foam, you know, you can get creative, guys, basically, you know, instead of just sticking that on, oh well, that's it, end of story. This, you know, you can play with, you can, you know, mould it to your face, really, and that's what this is all about. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. Anyway, this part here for me, it's a pretty nice thing because you've got this sort of here, you can move this up or down. For me, on my nose, you want it to be quite high up. You might find it's more comfortable further down, but that's basically, you know, where your nose will touch. You might have a smaller nose, so you might want to pack more out this, you know, with some more foam in there, along here maybe. Like I say, the options are sort of endless to what you might be able to play with. When you go to put them on, obviously don't just push them straight into your face because you'll crush all this foam. You sort of place them down onto your nose, this sort of thing, you know, and you just slips in there lovely. So that's basically it, guys. I'd, you know, advise anybody to try it, give it a go. Like I say, they are now the most comfortablest goggles that I own, and very personalised to my face, they feel. So yeah, for something that costs so much, it's definitely worth giving this a bash, guys, because you're very limited, and they're quite expensive, these other things, to buy. Nothing to lose, guys, and if you don't like it, it's no problem, is it? You can just pull it all back out and go back to whatever it is you used to using. But yeah, that's it basically, guys. You can see as well how more it's not so pushed out at the top now, how this sits more into my face. My eyes are closer to the lens. Like I say, this is all starting to shape to my brow. Extremely comfortable, guys. I don't know in the long run, you know, whether there'll be any issues with this, you know, because obviously there's a bit more padding in there, maybe the airflow might not be so good or things like that, maybe they might get warm. I don't know, this is yet to be found out over time. But yeah, hopefully if enough people try this and it gets out there and people think, yeah, you know, this has made a good pair of goggles. I've not seen anything like this out there. So whether others have tried or not, I mean, I find it hard to believe that no one would have tried this, but there's nothing out there to suggest it. So yeah, I thought I'd share this with you guys, and hopefully you'll end up with a nice pair of goggles that are really comfortable to you and personal if you try it. Okay then guys, I'll say ciao on that, and happy flying. Bye for now.